All right, a little before 8 in the morning. Today is May 11th or 12th. I have no idea. May 12th, Thursday. So we have one Fujitsu there, we have two on the other side, and we have this 2.5 ton ream R22 condenser from the manufacture date of April 2018. I know it's a 3 ton because see the 030 in the model number? That represents 30,000 BTUs, which is 2.5 tons. Okay, let me just put something down here, put my Veto down. Just put the Veto right there. While I'm working, I like to just set everything up so I don't gotta move things multiple times. So if I'm gonna end up, cleaning out this condenser with the hose and the water, why have it here and then move it again? Do things once. If you pick up something, put it in its final destination. Just food for thought. So back to the numbers. So a 024 would be a 2 ton. A 036 would be 3 ton. A 042 would be 3.5. 48, 4, and 060 would be a 5 ton. And you can see a 5 ton, like say, instead of 060, it could be 058 or 059. It's still a 5 ton. All right, do a visual check of this. There's our filter dryer. It looks weathered. The armor flex is somewhat deteriorating, but in most part is still intact. We have this twig lodged in there, and that'll probably interfere with fan operation, or it may hit the whatever. A lot of debris in there. We'll have to clean that out. Condensing coil, for the most part, looks fairly okay. Let's check for dirt. Not terrible. Let's check the side against the house. And also not terrible. All right, so I took the cover off. We have a lot of debris in here. This thing has been neglected for quite some time. No one's given this thing any TLC in a long time. So we're gonna have to clean all this out. There's our contactor. There's our capacitor. All right, I removed the 4 5/16 screws that hold the condenser fan assembly. And one of the first things I'm gonna notice is the oil residue leaking from the shaft of the motor. Now, a lot of people have different conflicting opinions on if this should require replacement or not. All that means is that it's leaking. And if it's leaking, you're gonna have a decreased life expectancy. So if I see oil leaking from the shaft on a blower motor, condenser fan motor, you're gonna recommend replacement. That's my food for thought. Some of you won't agree with that, but this was not leaking oil out of the box. This is a sealed unit, doesn't need to be oiled. But when that happens, there's already too much heat inside there where those gaskets have failed, and now it's leaking oil. So you best believe that this motor is definitely gonna fail in the future. And it's gonna fail regardless. Anything man-made is subject to failure, but it is what it is. Right, and if I was going to replace this motor, you're gonna take some Coil there or WD-40 and take off the fan blade off the shaft. So this motor is a 1/2 horsepower and it runs at 850 RPMs. And the capacitor is a 5. See that? Okay. So I'm gonna start cleaning this out, get my vacuum and get my blower and clean all this out. All right, I utilized a 5-gallon bucket and I took all the mulch and the debris out of the condenser compartment. I could have, and you could have easily just thrown the garbage there, but this goes an extra mile where you're respecting your client's property, right? Go the extra mile. I could have easily dumped it right there with the rest of the no leaves that are here. I'm not gonna dump it in the guy's grass. So I put into a 5-gallon bucket. Go the extra mile. You'll develop and strengthen your relationships with your clients. Next, we're going to take this out. We'll focus on this next, but I'm going to use my Milwaukee shop vac and suck up all the debris out of there. All right, I'm just finishing up cleaning out this dirt and this condenser. All right, making sure you can get into those drain little plugs right there. Try to get those two, ladies and gentlemen. Clean them up so the system could drain well. All right, go the extra mile and show that you care. Put that off to the side. I'm just gonna use my hands and get in there and get the rest of this mulch out of here. Probably an old manual. All right, look at that. Just been sitting there. You know that no one has ever cleaned out this condenser before. No one. And if there were significant trees here, or especially a pine tree, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Now, when you're cleaning in here, we'll be very, very careful not to damage anything, break anything. This little capillary tube here, all right, that's for the high pressure switch. You want to make sure you don't break that, damage that in any way or form or fashion. You break that, you're going to release the refrigerant, and then you're going to be effed hard. Not going to be fun. So I'm just going to try to get all the big stuff out of here. All right, all the big stuff out of here, and then I'll suck up the rest with the shop vac. All right, I vacuumed everything out. The only thing left, take the leaf blower, clean everything else out. So we finished cleaning out this condenser. One of the things you want to look out for, if you see any oil residue where it shouldn't be. So for example, if I had some oil residue here, all right, that would be indicative of a refrigerant leak. This is the capillary tube, as I said earlier, for the high pressure switch, which is located there. This is the low pressure switch, hooked up to this, I want to say 5/8 line. Yeah, maybe even 3/4. This is the low pressure switch, and it's wired into the circuit with the high pressure switch. And if they had a high pressure or low pressure condition, it's going to prevent the contactor from closing. Hear that hum? That's the contactor being pulled in. I had the customer go to the thermostat and put the cooled on, set it for 60, and I had the disconnect pulled, so I don't have to worry about power where I don't need it to be. So now we're going to check coil resistance on the capacitor. All right, I have the 24 volt control wiring disconnected. I'm reading 18.7 ohms on my fluke meter. It's a little bit higher than I like to see. I like to see, around 10, 11, 12-ish. But this is definitely higher than normal. Definitely higher than normal. Might suspect possible issue with the coil windings. All right, next we're going to test the capacitor. I'm going to take out that, screwing that through, and I just took a Sharpie and I wrote, it's hard to read my handwriting, that's P for purple, that's B for brown, and that's C or O for orange. So here is my fan, here is my contactor, and here's my C or common. So I'll pull this out and then test. All right, this is a 45.5 370 dual capacitor. So let's test to see how this thing's reading between common and Herm and common and fan. All right, I have my leads hooked up to C and fan. That's set for capacitance, and reading 5.1. So far, so good. Now I have my leads hooked up to Herm and C, and I'm reading 38. Oh, hold on. Reading 38. Now, rule of thumb, 10% is pushing it of less rated values. So if this was 10% of 45 would be 4.5. So if I was above 40.5, technically I could still keep this in there, but we're gonna replace this dual capacitor, and that's how you test for it. See, it's rated 40/5. So if this was a 45, that's still good, because 10% of 40 would be 4, so anything over 36 is fine. This is over 10%, so we got to change this out. All right, so question.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit older of a unit, but hopefully still works. There are some things that you maybe should do.
Okay.
So number one, you want me to give you the whole like layman's terms, or just say what's going to cost?
Just lay it on me, man.
All right, there's two components outside. One is called a contactor. It takes a signal from the thermostat and it gives the condenser power. Another is called a dual capacitor. Dual capacitor gives a motor more power or more safe storage to start and then run.
Okay.
So the contactor, we measure certain things on it, and it's higher than what it normally would be, which normally it's lower than what it should be, but it's higher than what it should be. So it's still pulling in, or still, it's getting the signal, and it'll energize, and it will send power across it, and like a light switch. It's basically like a remote control light switch. So I'd probably maybe keep it for now, but if it dies, then I kind of like told you so. But I worry about spending my customers' money.
Right.
So if you had like Warren Buffett money, I still say the same thing to you. But the capacitor is where I came knocking the door, because the contactor, whatever. The capacitor, we measure values of it. So say a 9-volt battery, and the thing will still work if it's like, say, 7 volts, right? But once it gets below 7 volts, it's not really going to do its job anymore, or it'd be sluggish, toy or whatever, right? So it's reading like over 10% of what it's, under 10% of what it should be. So it should be 45, it's reading 38. And 10% is usually the good rule of thumb. So it's going to stop working. When it stops working, the compressor's not going to come on. The compressor will still get power, it'll overheat, and it becomes like a nuisance service call. Hopefully the compressor doesn't burn out, but you should definitely replace the capacitor.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Contactor, again, if you want to spend the money, spend the money. Capacitor is like $180. Contactor, there's 2 different types. Forget about the more expensive one, because it's not a newer system, it's old, so that's like $130.
So the recommendation is capacitor.
Yes. I recommend both, but you should really do the capacitor.
Both would be like whatever.
Both would be like, like let's say $300 more.
Okay. Definitely the capacitor.
Okay.
Let me sit on the other thing, but let me just ask you, when the time comes, what's the full replacement for the unit?
The system?
Yeah.
As far as dollar amounts?
Yeah.
Depends what kind of car you want to get. You want to get a Kia? they're expensive now anyway. But if you want to get like a budget, Bill's grade system for this house, I haven't even seen the attic, but yeah, maybe it's a smaller system, maybe 10, 11,000.
Yeah, that's what I think.
More bells and whistles, it depends. There's no ending, there's no stop.
I had no idea.
I could take all your money.
Yeah, I had no idea there were bells and whistles.
No, you have air quality things, like if anyone has asthma or allergies.
Right.
I could add things to your system that will give you like hospital grade sterile air.
Right.
Some people want that. Ultraviolet light, HEPA filtration.
Okay, you can
really go crazy, and that's where all the bells and whistles. Plus, I can give you like, I think your father-in-law is getting a Bosch, right?
Oh, is that good stuff?
That is top of the line.
Nice.
There's nothing better than this, right?
Of course it is.
No exaggeration. You can run it off the car's cigarette lighter.
Get out
That's
of
how
here.
little power it uses.
Holy crap!
With an inverter, of course, but
Wow.
I've seen a live model, on a trailer, hooked up to a pickup truck. And the Ford has the outlets in the back.
Yeah.
And they have a little power inverter because it needs 240 volts, right? So they make it, but it runs while the car isn't running.
Kidding me?
I swear.
Holy shit.
Yes.
All right, so it's like that.
Yeah, so that's like the extreme, and that's where he went to. But that's ultimate in energy savings.
Right.
Like literally, it's like an LED light bulb.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What's that?
And imagine, and he has existing top of the line from like 10, 12 years ago. This was unheard of.
Was it already pretty good? What do you had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except they didn't really take care of it the right way, and they would just threw
Yeah.
efficiency out the window and whatever. But
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what's gonna be like in like 15 years from now.
What's he gonna do with his old unit? Bring it over here, swap it out. But
It's too big. It's too big for the house.
too big. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Like
well,
his system could do another one of your, first, second floor, and the third floor. That's how oversized it is for his house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they kind of like went stupid.
That's Well, that sounds like the block.
Yeah.
That's a move they would make.
So I'm gonna change the. Don't worry about the contact. I'm gonna change the capacitor.
Okay.
And then we'll check pressures.
Great.
Okay. Now I've had a rule of thumb for my company, and this, not the company. Well, yes, a company, and also for this YouTube channel where I really try not to disclose or discuss pricing on this channel because every geographic area is different. However, and I'm going to keep it real. Here's a capacitor, right? This is a 45.5. It is on my truck, which is essentially a mobile warehouse. If this costs me, right, let's say hypothetically, $10. It's $10 plus tax for me to own. But then I have to warehouse it on wheels. Two tremendous expenses that you need to factor in to all the HVAC and business owners out there. You need to factor in markup, which is going to meet your overhead and leave some profit, which also covers a warranty. My warranty for our company is that anything that we install on a service call, we guarantee for 24 months, unconditionally. So if I put in this Titan Pro 45.5 dual capacitor for this homeowner, and if it fails within 24 months, not only is the labor included, but so is the part. So if I'm selling this capacitor for $180, just hypothetically, and it's somewhere in that range, and I'm keeping it real, right? I'm guaranteeing the workmanship and the part. Plain and simple. Okay, you're gonna notice that there is a size difference in the diameter of the dual capacitors, right? This one is much skinnier, but longer. This one's fatter and has more girth, but it's not as deep. So you'll have more penetration. Let me stop. But luckily, there was this little plate right there, and I took off this plate. It's like a bushing, reducing bushing, and that slid right in there. Just like I'm gonna slide into your girl's DMs. Slid in right there, see that? Hooked up my fan, Herm, which is hermetically sealed compressor, and here's my common. Okay, and there we have it. All right, next we're gonna turn this bad boy on. I have my fluke meter set to read amperage, to clamp on. That's L1, we'll test L2. There's no need to test the ground, but we'll see what this thing's pulling in like. I brought a piece of band iron and some screws in case, I needed to mount the new dual capacitor, but fortunately, we have this little bushing there, so I'm not gonna need this. All right. Yeah. Cold cranking amps. Not even above 10. Let's test. Alright. 7.4. 7.4. I really want to get crazy. Test it at the compressor. 6.4. 5.9. 6.7. Good there. If I wanted to test the condenser fan motor, that's the difference. So we're good. And we're gonna let this run for about 10-15 minutes. And you know what? I'm not probably gonna test pressures here, or maybe I'll take out the Testo Smart probes, because you don't want to test pressures unless you suspect there's a problem. Because every time you connect your refrigeration manifold to the service ports, you have a little bit of loss. And if there's no need to check it, right? And a lot of people are gonna say, Mike, what are you talking about? You're not gonna check pressures on a preventative maintenance tune-up? No, unless I suspect there's a problem. We're gonna measure temperatures inside at the diffusers, supply the return air filter, return duct, and see what our Delta T looks like between the supply and returns. And if it's good, right? And I can also do beer can cold, right? Beer can cold, and that's beer can cold, and that's warm, kind of like the tea that I had this morning. Beer can cold. So I'm quite confident we're pretty good with this machine. All right, guys and girls, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video, somewhat educational, because that's the primary goal, sharing knowledge, because knowledge is power. And the more you know, the more money you can earn to support your family. And what are you doing? You want your shit pushed back? Look at that. She's trying to just like, but people don't know how to drive. I swear, these damn New Yorkers. Damn New Yorkers, always in a rush. Like, don't you know we drive with a purpose? But all kidding aside, you know what? I try to be somewhat entertaining as well at the same time, but the more you know, the more you can earn. And I know that, a lot of the community, for this channel, about 50% are DIY guys, just the average Joe Blow, the homeowner, and the other 50 are kind of in the trades. So I try to show things, more geared for the professional out there. Like earlier in the video, I spoke about, pricing and why, how do you sell a $10 part, for $150? So you have to realize your true cost of operation, what your overhead is, and also have markup for profit, and also including, warranty and guarantee on the workmanship and on the overall job. So if you guys want to hear more about that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be more than glad to give, my feedback on how I run my business and, and run a successful and profitable, plumbing and HVAC business here in the New York City, Long Island metropolitan area. We're a very, dense geographic location. And we have people from all different walks of life and all different levels of income. So if you guys want to hear more about that on how to successfully run a profitable and thriving business, let me know in the comment section down below with your feedback, and I'll be more than glad to take care of you. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If this is the first time viewing my channel, this is the kind of content that I post, on a daily basis. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get post notifications, and thumbs up as well. Sharing is caring. I love you. You love me. We're one big happy family. Until next time, guys, be well. God bless. Stay safe.